What is up, everybody? Mr. Porkchop back here with another video. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Helps me out a lot. And I put out a video at least once a week, pretty much dealing with anything computer science related. Right now, I am a computer science student, about 80% of the way through my degree program. So I will hopefully be graduating very soon with my with a bachelor's in computer science. So I mean, I've been putting, like I said, I've been putting out a video about every week, and I'll do it pretty much. It kind of depends on what class I'm in. So a lot of my previous videos recently have been on Java, as I just finished up my software 2 class, and in that class I had to create a Java program that basically pulled data from a database that they had set up. And the class that I'm in now is Advanced Data Management. This class is dealing pretty much all with SQL. So this video is going to be a short tutorial on the basics of SQL. Basically, I'm going to go through getting my Sql Workbench kind of set up, and then after that we'll create some tables, and we'll put a few different put some data in those tables basically, and then I'll go through and let you guys know basically all the different data types that you can use in SQL and how to create these things. So without further ado, the first thing you're going to need, if you don't have it already, is MySQL. You can just Google MySQL download, and then go down here and just click Community, and then inside of here click on the installer for Windows, if you're using Windows, and I'm assuming there's another version if you're using Mac, but either way, if you click this, download that, that'll get you everything you need. The whole process for downloading it is pretty straightforward. It can take a while, so if you're doing it now, you might want to pause the video and get it all installed first. After you have it installed, you're going to open up MySQL Workbench. That's going to be this right here. This is basically what you're going to be working out of. All the other stuff is just to make sure that it works right. So when you open up MySQL Workbench, this is basically what you're going to get. You won't have these 2 connections because I had to add those. And then when you create this, you're going to make what they call root password. Don't forget that password. That password is very important. You're going to need that when you make connections. So once you have this downloaded and you have your root password handy, just go ahead down here in this little plus sign, and you'll add a connection. Just write in the name of the connection that you want, and then you can click on the store and vault if you want to add your root password into the vault and just have it saved there for this connection. Then you can click test connection just to make sure that everything is working. If for some reason you can't connect, go back to the installer and just make sure that everything actually installed correctly, and then make sure you're using the right password. If you have more issues and you still can't do it, sometimes if you just like uninstall it and then reinstall it, it can fix the issue. But you shouldn't have any problems. You should be able to just go right in. So you add the name of your connection. All this other stuff can stay the same. You don't have to mess with anything. Like I said, you can store your password if you want, and then you just click OK, and your connection will show up right here. And then once you have your connection, you can just click on it, and it'll bring you in basically to that connection. So this is going to be basically your database. You shouldn't have anything over here. These are all different what they call schemas. So you can create a schema by clicking right here, and that's what you'll need to do. So you click on this little plus button to create a new schema. You type in whatever the name of that, whatever the name you want the schema to be, and then you'll get something down here like this. And all of these things here probably won't have arrows because you won't have anything. If you want to add a table, in order to make any of these changes and in order to actually get these to work, you need to click on the schema that you want to execute these commands on, and then that schema will turn bold. That's when you can start typing in your actual SQL commands inside of this line here, and then once you've written your command, you're going to press this little lightning bolt here, and that'll execute the command, and then down here in the output window it'll tell you basically what happened. So we're going to go through all that in a little bit. For now, This parts project schema was something that I created yesterday. So one of the things I was thinking about doing was, as I go through this, was to basically just create some tables that would represent the data for my first project. So this part project was a Java project that I created for my first software class. Pretty straightforward kind of thing. Basically, it's an inventory management system. You can create some parts and projects, and if you watch any of my other videos, you've seen this already. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to basically go through and just create a table for the different data that I have. So I made a parts table, and then I guess for now we can go ahead and make a products table. So I'm going to make a products table that's going to have all these columns. And in order to do that, the first thing we will do is just go ahead and create table, and then you want to write the table name. So whatever you want your table to be named, mine's going to be products. And then after you have your create table, you just do parentheses. You can keep this all in one line if you want. I just got in the habit of kind of doing it like this. So you want your parentheses, and then you'll want the semicolon after basically to end the line. So this is similar to Java, in once you write a line of code, you end that line with a semicolon. And then everything else is going to be in between these two parentheses. And what's going to go in between this is what our column names are going to be. So you're going to write the column name that you want. So the first column name that I'm going to write is product ID. And again, I'm taking this basically right from here. So I'm just going to go off of this. I don't have it on screen, but I'm going to have it off screen over here. And then the product ID is going to hold basically a number. And for number data types, the numeric data type in SQL can be a bunch of different things. So I'm going to go over kind of what you can use. So you have integer, basically. You can do integer, and integer comes in a couple different variations. You can have a small int, which is going to be a small range integer. It's only 2 bytes and goes anywhere from, it looks like, negative 32,768 to positive 32,767. I'm not going to go through the whole range of these, but I thought that one was kind of funny. This stuff I'm all getting right from my textbook too, if you guys are wondering where I got this information. But you have small int, integer, big int, you have decimal, and then you have numeric, real. Decimal and numeric, those are the only two out of all these data types that have variable storage size. So an integer is 4 bytes, a big integer is 8 bytes, and then a real is 4 bytes, double precision is 8 bytes, and then you have your serials. So serial is actually what I'm going to use for this data type. A serial is an auto-incrementing, if I can get my hands on the right keys. So serial is just an auto-incrementing integer. And you can do small serial or big serial, or you can just do regular serial. Small serial is 2 bytes and has a smaller range. Serial is 4 bytes and has a very large range. And then big serial has a very, very large range, and again, it's just auto-incrementing. And those are nice to have because you could still do integer, and then you can do what they call auto-increment. And you could do it that way too, which would be the same exact thing as writing serial. So it's just a little shortcut to do serial. And because inside of these tables, I'm not going to go too much into the relationship between tables and the data types that are in them, but almost all, like any table that you make is going to have is usually going to have a primary key. So for these, it's the primary key is going to be kind of like a serial number, but it doesn't have to be a serial number. It can be anything that basically identifies that object inside the table. It's a unique identifier. The primary key has to be unique, and it can't be null. So we're going to use our product ID as our primary key. So in order to make it a primary key, you just type in the word primary key at the end. So it'll be a product ID, which is a serial primary key, and then you can put in not null, which just means it can't be blank. And if memory serves me right, I believe primary key automatically makes it not null, but I'll leave that there just because I'm going through everything. So that's all about our that's all about the numeric data types and basically how we're going to start setting up our table. And then after that, we have our product name. So product name is going to hold obviously a name, which is going to be a string or basically a set of characters. So for our character data types, we have a couple different data types that we could use. We could use a what normally is used is a var char, which is basically a variable character, and it's just a bunch of characters basically with a varied length with a limit. And when you do variable character, you can do parentheses, and then you can set the length of that character or of that variable character. So you can do 100 is fine. You could do 10. You could do 5. You know, whatever, however many characters you want that name to have, you can set a fixed length to it. If you don't want to use a variable character, you could just use character, and that's a fixed length, blank padded, basically character. Outside of that, you also could do text. So the last one is text. If you use text, that's a variable. It's a variable unlimited length. So again, it could be basically any kind of text that you want. Text is usually used if you're going to have like a lot of text. If you're just doing a name or an address or something small, then you can do a variable character. And that's usually what it is. And again, you can put in whatever length you want. So I'll have the product name. Why is it giving me oh, whoops. Okay, so yeah, in between all these, I forgot. You need to have a comma after each column. So this is going to be one column, and then this will be our next column, and just do commas after that. And then after our name, we have an inventory level, which that will be an integer. So inventory. And inventory, are just going to put an integer, and I'm going to make this not null because there has to be something in inventory. Actually, I guess if there's nothing in inventory, we could leave it blank. So maybe I'll just leave it like that. So it'll just be an integer, and you can put in any integer for that, which is fine. And then the last one is going to be our price. So for our price, it's going to be a double. So double is basically what you will use for any type of decimal place number. That allows you to put that decimal place in. And I'll do not null for that because every product has to have a price. And actually, I'm going to do not null for this as well because every product's going to have a name. You can't have no name. Inventory level is the only one I'll leave as null because at some point maybe they just don't have inventory on hand, which could still be set to 0, but null works as well. Alright, so then we have pretty much everything we need. So this is going to create a table called products, and that table is going to have 4 columns. Our column is going to be product ID, product name, inventory level, and price. So if we go ahead and we click on this little execute button here, it'll show down here that we created a table called products. If you go over to your schema and you look at your tables, it should show up here. It may not show up until you reconnect. So you can close out by clicking this little X up here, and then you can reconnect, and once you reconnect you'll see that my table is now there. So now I have this other table. Now inside of your tables you can go over and you can click on this button here, and then that will show you what's in your table. Obviously I have nothing in my table because I just created it. The other thing is, if you wanted to, you could just type this in. So what you could do is just do select, this little star means all, and then you can do select all from, let's do parts, and then whoops, so select all from parts, and if we hit that, it'll show us everything that's in our parts table. So our part table actually has one part with a with null for a name. I was messing around with it yesterday, and that's why it looks a little weird. But now we'll go into how we add stuff to our table. So inside of our table, we want to add, let's say, a new product. So in order to do that, we're going to use the insert command. So we'll do insert into, and then insert into products, and then after that you're going to use the word values, and then you can type in what you want for each column. So for our products we have oops, let me run this one more time. I want to make sure I don't miss it. But for our products we have our product ID, product name, inventory level, and price. So first one is going to be the product ID. Because it is a serial, actually, I'm not sure if I need to actually write anything in there. It should automatically give it to me. So let's try not putting anything in the first one, and just see what it does. Or maybe even I could just write product ID and see if that works. So just do product ID and see if it auto increments for me and just gives me a numeric value. It should. Then after that, it's gonna be the product name. So we'll just do like laser or something. I think that's what I have in here. Oh yeah, you're gonna use single quotes for any type of string or character value that you put in. So you just surround it by single quotes. Integer values, you don't need to do that. So for the next one, it's gonna be, I'm just gonna put 16 for inventory level. And then the price, again, you don't need quotes for price because it's a number. So you just do like, whoops, whatever you want for a price. And then just make sure you don't put $signs or anything. Just that is all you really need right there. So this should insert into my products table a product named laser with 16 inventory and a price of $20.65. So we hit this, and then that'll do it. And then if we want to see that, we can just again go down here, we can click on this, or we could type in select all from products. This is just easier. And there you have it. So it did auto increment. It gave us something here because it can't be null and it has to be a serial number. So it just puts in the first value for us. And then we can continue to add things just like we did. If you want to modify something that you have already added to your table, you can use update. So you just type in update, and then you're going to say what table you want to update. So we want to update the products table, and then after it knows what table we're going to add, we're going to tell it what we want to change. So we're going to say set, because this is what we want to set, and let's do product name equal to, instead of laser, let's change it to car. And then we want to tell it where in the table we want to make this change. So we're going to use our primary key as an identifier for the row that we want to make this change on. And even though there's only one row in our table, but let's say that there was multiple rows and we wanted to pick out one. So we're going to say where product ID equals 1. We put our semicolon to end it, and then we hit our little lightning bolt here, and it'll tell you again in the output that one row was affected and one change happened. There was no warnings, and this little green check mark means that everything was fine. You'll get a little red X if there's some syntax error or if something just isn't right. Then we can go ahead and look at our table again, and we see now that our product name is car. And that works for pretty much any row or column, like I said. Trying to think of some other things that you could do in here to manipulate this data. Let's see what else we got. And again, you can do a lot of different selections. So let's get out of this parts project one, seeing as that there's very little in there. Yeah, all right. So we got a products table in here that has more products. All right, let's do some. We'll do some selection stuff from here. So when you're trying to select stuff from a table, again, you saw that you can do basically select all, and then just do. Oh my goodness, can't type right now. So you can just select all from our products table here, and it'll give you basically what you're seeing here. But let's say that we just wanted to select the name of our products that are type 2. So if we wanted to do that, we would just do select the column name, which would be name, and then we do from the table that we want. So we're going to do the products table. And actually, before I do this, I forgot. So I'm still selected on parts project, so I want to make sure that I go over here and click on this other schema first for this to work. So then we'll do select name from products, and then we will do where. And actually, I'm going to kind of break this up a little bit just to make it look a little better. So we're going to select the name from products, and then where, let's see, we want type ID equals 2. So type underscore ID equals 2. And then if we execute this, it should give us just these two names. And you'll notice it'll only give us the names. It's not going to give us everything else. Oop, we have an issue. First time products does not exist. Oh, I put products. It should have just been product. Alright, so yeah, you'll see again that X basically shows that there's a mistake, and it's because I added an S on top of my products. So yeah, now this is what should have happened. We click on it, it gives us just the name column for the two that have that. So you can pull out different things that you want. You can also use, when you're selecting things, you can also do multiple things. So let's say we wanted the name, and we wanted let's say we wanted the name and the supplier. So we can do select. So we're going to select the name and supplier. Select name, supplier, from products, where type ID equals 2, or supplier equals Johnston and Murphy. Alright, so this should pull out these two names and then these two as well. And there we go. So this pulls out all the Johnston and Murphy suppliers, as well as all products where the type ID is 2. So yeah, you can mix and match those. You can also do, you could also change this to an AND instead. And if you do that, it'll pull out all the type ID 2s and suppliers that are Johnston. So that should leave us with just this one here when we execute it. So there's only one that actually matches that. But those are just different kind of things you can do with the select. You can also delete things from your tables. So in the products, if I wanted to delete one of these products, I could just use the ID as an identifier, and I could do delete from, and I think I usually always do this in uppercase. You don't have to, but I don't know, I think it just looks better. So I can do delete from product where we will do ID equals, and let's do 8. Let's try to delete the last guy. Or actually, let's delete one of the, there's a bunch of type 1s, so let's delete number 3. So it'll delete from products where ID equals 3. So this whole one should just disappear. So it shows that one row is affected. If we go back into our products, now you see that ID 3 is gone. So that's how you delete stuff from it. You can also just delete an entire table or delete an entire everything out of a table pretty much the same way. Trying to think what else we got. I think that's all I'm really going to go over in this video. I know it's kind of a short video. I didn't go over too much, but that's kind of the basics. Show you guys some of the different characters you can do. I'll be doing a lot more with SQL as I go through this advanced data management class. So if you guys are interested in SQL, stay tuned for my next videos. If you like this one, please hit the like button, and like I said, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. I do put out videos once a week. There'll be, again, varying videos from SQL to Java, Python, C++, whatever I'm working on at the time, or whatever's requested. I've done a couple different videos too on just setting up different IEDs, and an encryption video, which was the last one I did. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have something you want to see in SQL, please leave it in a comment, and I'll try to get it uploaded next week. All right.